things along those lines. FPX don't go for it. They don't fall for that. They are just going to go straight for the Udyr themselves. And Rogue Warriors starting off with the same 1-2 that they had in last game, maybe thinking, hey, if we can get a more volatile bot lane matchup, you know, if Sinatom Kench isn't there, we can impact that and play around Zhongwuji as we expected this roster to do coming into the split.
Yeah, you've got yourself strong jungle once again as well alongside it. For FPX, just hold a second. This has been flaunted throughout the day. We saw the ban a little bit earlier on in the IG Sooning series, but Tristana comes through and we have the Alistar as well. And we've got to remember that Tristana is potentially that flex that can go top, that can go AD, or even mid lane towards Doinb.
I think we would expect it to go in the hands of LWX though, right? And it's something that we've seen go up against the Kaisa and have overwhelming success over the past few months. You have very strong in level 2 and level 3 all-in potential. You're going to outscale, you're going to outrange. You're, I'd say, more dynamic and more versatile in how you can fit in a team composition in that sense. And then Forge picking up the Sylas. We do expect that to go in his hands. Again, Forge, very well known for kind of sticking to his comfort champions, what he's good at, that kind of niche of like, hey, I want to all in, I want to be aggressive, and I want to be a big playmaker for the squad. So far, very AP heavy composition on the side of Rogue Warriors. So I'd love to see 8917 maybe pick up more of a, you know, an AD champion coming in. We highlighted how the Nard could have fit in that last time around. You're potentially setting up for where you can have side lane pressure with Sylas being in one lane and then maybe another, again, like pseudo split pusher in another role. Well, top lane being that other role.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for the Gnar though. The set ban away, so for Rogue Warriors 8917, he does have the option of going for something that can try and withstand the lane, or rather than taking it away from Nuguri, as he was so big on it in the first game. Let's find out. Nautilus was the other ban, by the way, going against his Alistar lane, as Rogue Warriors might just leave the top lane counter pick, might leave questions up in the air while they get the Rakan alongside Zhongwuji.
I do like that because when I think about it more in depth, right? Even if you pick something like the Gnar, well, he can always come out with a strong counter pick. The Gwen actually surprisingly left open still, and FPX say, hey, we don't care, we're gonna go for it. We're still gonna see the RWF counters, and FPX might go for both of these champions. Doinb has been playing it in solo queue. We've already highlighted Viego, extremely strong up against melee matchups. You can really abuse your attack range coming out. You have a ton of sustain in that laning phase. And then you're just a complete monster in team fights with those resets coming out. We got it. We got Gwen and Viego in the same game.
So you go so easily in the side of FPX, or it could go horribly wrong. Who knows? We're going to gear up for our 2 new champions, while for Rogue Warriors, they get the topside counter pick. And this will kind of give us an understanding of maybe what pros think is really good into this Gwen, right? You have the invulnerability W that you need to get inside the ring to damage during the trading. And Wukong can do that, so nice gap close here to round out the composition.
Yeah, kind of interesting because we've seen over in the LCS that a lot of people gravitate towards something like the GP. You have a very strong level 1 because Gwen's level 1 is actually pretty overbearing. She takes her E, so she has a dash. She also gains bonus damage on her autos and bonus attack range, things along these lines. So level 1, very strong coming out from the Gwen, but yeah, we're going to see, I think, pretty volatile lane matchups would be fair to say when you have Viego versus Sylas and Gwen versus Wukong. The annoying thing about both these solo laners in my mind is that they both just have such an easy time sustaining throughout their laning phases. Viego especially, right? You're able to Q minions, get the mark on them, then auto, kind of be able to get that sustain even non-interactively with the enemy laner.
Yeah, the Blade of the Ruined King, the Q passive is just insane, right? And the fact is, he can also heal when he gets a 6, when he gets a Heartbreaker, and he's able to, not even 6, when he possesses someone else's corpse. The healing is just extravagant. So, running into this game, a lot of new mechanics we'll be talking about. If you haven't been watching the LCS, then you're in for a bit of a treat, because these 2 champions are so good at the moment. And with a Tristana as well. There's actually a lot of gap close on this comp too. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm more excited to see if Rogue Warriors can actually halt the aggression from FPX Lyric, because both Gwen and Viego, when they get going, they really don't slow down.
Yeah, and like you were highlighting earlier, I'm interested to see how the Wukong fares up against it. I would figure that Gwen would have, you know, really not bad of a time going into this lane matchup. Sure, you already highlighted that Wukong can get into her W and try to fight her there. You do have some CC, but I think Gwen should be able to farm up just fine. And again, I think should be pretty strong in the early levels up against the Wukong. And then Viego as well. Maybe Sylas will be able to get pressure, but he should be able to farm just fine. You outrange him. Your Q is on an extremely short cooldown. I think it is only about 5 seconds, so can even potentially just look to poke there. You have a jungler who is very good at finding these early ganks, and the Udyr brings the CC for your 2 high damage laners. And if there's a composition that would want to try to aim to beat the sort of win timing that FPX had in game 1, it would be this composition in game 2.
It would. It really would. Can they beat 1707? We'll give every chance to Rogue Warriors, see how they start this early game off. Of course, they were 17th last split. This is the bottom ranking team that's made some changes. Going up against FPX at the start of split, really rough matchup. I think for everyone out there as well, you got to remember that here in LPL, we're not going to give you BS, right? We're never going to tell you, oh, this team has so much potential. No. Rogue Warriors are a team that's looking for development here, and every match counts, sure, but we want to see how they go against some of these top teams and what the future holds. Maybe not this split, but maybe sometime in the near future if they stick with the lineup. Sticking with the lineup is the first battle, it feels like, as well, Lyric, as we're getting to see a little bit what's happening in this game. We've got Nuguri and Doinb both on the Conqueror. Pretty standard stuff from what we've seen as well, but resolve secondary tree for both Viego and for Gwen. Important to note that Nuguri hasn't got a flash. He's gone for the Ignite and for the teleport, as he already has a dash.
Yeah, and you know, I want to highlight that we already saw kind of the strength of Gwen's level 1 that we highlighted up when we were panned over top lane, right? You E in, you get the damage, you get the attack speed, you get the dash, you force quick trades, you also start Doran's Blade on Gwen. The stacking AD from the Conqueror Adapted Force is just really strong early on and just gives you even more sustain in lane. So Nuguri gonna force this matchup to his limits, but you know, interestingly enough, Wukong is a champion we have seen in the past that was able to take Ignite with TP, and 8917 is going to opt into doing that, and is going to look to go toe-to-toe with Nuguri in this matchup.
And we'll see how he goes as a retribution for game number 1. Ice Coke getting invaded on in the meantime, though. This is a level 3 Udyr who's warded over the side. Vision not acquired until now, and Ice Coke either loses red or might lose his flash. Let's see. Doinb comes on in, tries to get him down with the maul, but doesn't succeed. Ice Coke flashes, however, late after losing the red buff onto Forge. He sticks around, burns his flash as well, and FPX get 2 for the price of none.
Yeah, you know, Tien utilizing his lane prio is really nice. So you look at the minimap, all 3 of FPX's lanes are pushing. Also doing really nice mechanics on the champion. We see him going with the auto W auto. W, of course, is an auto reset, so far so good for the side of FPX. I think later on, maybe it could be more explosive for Rogue Warriors, right? You have a very all-in heavy team composition. Pretty much every champion just wants to run in, and then Rumble can just drop his equalizer on top of that.
Oh, nice catch. Onto Doinb. Double harpoon lands into him as well. He'll have to back, has the teleport, but it was a nice timing from Rogue Warriors.
Yeah, and, you know, again, they're finding advantages where they can. Sadly, they weren't able to force out a summoner from the side of Doinb. He does also have TP, so he can get back to lane in time, not miss much, if any at all, of the EXP and gold that he could have otherwise lost. So far, I don't want to say slow early game, because we've already seen FPX look to make aggressive plays. And the scary thing for Rogue Warriors is that, right, Tien's going to back, his camps are going to cycle up again, he's pathing towards his top side, and in another minute and a half, he's going to be able to look for those same plays, to where for the side of FPX, their bottom lane is just going to consistently have push in this matchup as well.
You can see Chris actually going for the gauge. There's a rocket jump onto Jungwuji. Exhaust immediately flashes away to get the spacing away from the grand entrance as well from Beichuan. Now Chris starts the engage, but it's Lwx who burns the flash. It is only a response of exhaust, and a summoner favorable trait actually for Rogue Warriors, but HP, a different question.
Yeah, feeling threatened by Beichuan's knockup, but Doinb and Tien are here. This does look pretty bad. Jungwuji does have flash. I think he's fine. Beichuan might be a different question.
No, he battle dances away, still gets out. Doinb and Tien just have to walk with their hand between their heads. I'm not sure how that makes sense.
Still though, right? You're losing gold, you're losing EXP. Lwx is also getting a plate on top of that. And Zhongwuji and Kaishuan just had a full-on back, so this could even be 2 plates for the side of the FPX bot lane.
Well, everything rotates here for FPX, right? You've got the CS lead, the plates you mentioned there again. Doinb actually getting engaged on by Forge as Ice Coke is nearby. Bit of healing comes through here from the passive while Ice Coke gets blocked by the minion wave. And it's been a pretty full-on, there's no kills, but it's actually been a pretty full-on early game here. FPX are up quite a bit of gold, but Rogue Warriors are kind of going pound for pound, and the only reason that FPX are up is because of that bottom lane play.
And this time around, right, we're 5 minutes in, gold isn't unbearable. They're working as a team, they're getting vision topside. I think Nuguri is still in a fine spot, already did use his TP earlier on, but still going to be able to spot out Tien. They were trying to find, I think, some jungle camps because we did see Tien steal away some of Ice Coke's jungle camps on the bottom side. None are there, just going to get some vision, and FPX going to be able to transition that into a Drake.
Which is a good start for the game here already. You can see Tien with the CS lead. Top lane, a little bit of a lead there as well. About 10 towards the mid lane here for Doinb. Also noting the bottom side plus the plates we saw. We roll into an Ocean Dragon, which means Infernal or Cloud Soul coming up this game as you can see Crisp is just trying to angle onto Zhongwuji as the wave is pushing in. And Zhongwuji feels like, well, he might be frozen against, but remember it is Tristana. Very hard to freeze, if near impossible.
Interestingly enough, we see an Executioner's Calling coming out from Doinb, so respecting the heal and the all-in potential coming out from Forge. He also realizes at this point he isn't just playing a straight-up 1v1 lane. Ice Coke has showed and made his presence well-known in mid lane many times at this point. And yeah, again, I'm kind of surprised by the lack of, I don't want to say aggression, but like volatility that we've seen in this matchup, just from how FPX played in game 1, and again, kind of what Rogue Warriors have historically been known for. I would have expected a lot more, I don't want to say mistakes, but mistakes.
You again, you're honest. It's okay. You don't have to hide that one back too much. Doinb hanging around the mid lane, just trying to find Forge as he gets the blue buff. Game has stabilized just that little bit for now. As Ice Coke goes back to farming. What else is happening in the game? Well, I can tell you that Tien going up towards that top side might be angling for the early Herald, as it's 7 minutes 40 in. No bot lanes have rotated yet, but Crisp is making his way up, actually backing straight up. I'll be curious what happens in the early Herald here, Lwx, because we know that FPX in the previous game were all over it. They're putting priority there, and Tien managing to head up there now.
I mean, this is their Herald, right? They have push in top, they have push in mid. With push and bot, it means Crisp will be able to reset first. He's going to make his way over. It looks like Rogue Warriors potentially want to move up and contest, but I don't think that's a good call because you're facing a Tristana down in the bot lane. They've already taken 2 plates. They would be able to take more. So Rogue Warriors smartly decide, hey, we're only going to send Kaishuan up, and we have ultimates pretty much available everywhere for the potential fight.
We do. No steal there, though, as Doinb's trying to go on in. Remember, has the Heartbreaker available. But after losing away the Herald, the potential steal, FPX try to force them out, and Rogue Warriors back away. So Herald net gain here for Tien. He still found Kaishuan and tries to get away, but Phoenix Dance rips him apart as Rogue Warriors still have to go back to their den.
And this is one of those things, right, where I like what Tien is doing. Just run straight bot. You've already taken 2 plates in the bottom lane. This will be a very easy turret to break open. Then you have another pressure point where you can start rotating members around the map. Again, push in the long lane, maybe transition into the 1-3-1 setup and let Viego dominate in the side lanes. And FPX right now are just kind of playing by the book.
They really are. I do like, however, that Zhongwuji paid attention and gave the respect to move away from the bottom lane turret just in case it was the Herald play, it was the dive play as well. Nuguri going to get spotted out in a ward here towards blue buff. They're still not going to come in time from Ice Coke. Remember that Nuguri has the ultimate available. Needlework and Ignite could destroy this Rumble. And while you can't get anything on the top side as a Rumble lyric, Lwx continues to do this. And now for Ice Coke, oh no. Is he in a bit of trouble? Doinb's on the way as well. First part of Needlework, the second there as well. Onto the Blast Cone to save his life, while the Equalizer helps with that too. And just has to go back to whatever jungle's left.
Yeah, nice engage coming out from him. Goes in, pops the ult immediately because the ult, of course, does give you a slow. Crisp, though, looking for an engage. Not going to be able to find anything. This turret should be very easy to break down, though. Forge does have TP. It looks like he was hovering around Fountain just in case he needed to go for that. But the fact that Doinb has pressure in mid, even if Doinb just kind of hovers down towards Fog of War, Lwx and Crisp will be able to break this turret down. And I mean, we're just seeing like extended laning phases come out from the side of FPX. They're completely happy with it. Ice Coke going to try and find a play on the opposite side.
He is, and he's in the middle of Nuguri. One more auto to do it, and he overheats to get it done. Very close for Ice Coke, but he gets a kill, and Nuguri thought he's a little bit stronger with the Ignite, but taking that down means Rogoros will get some plates in response. But it's just about how many lanes they're going to lose at this point, even despite a good little rotation.
I mean, the big thing about that, right, was that Nuguri actually hadn't reset yet, so he had a ton of gold. You can see he already just picked up the Leeching Leer and the Blasting Wand coming in. So, you know, maybe had he had more stats in that situation, it looked like he would have been able to win, especially with the Omnivamp coming out from something like Leeching Leer. We know Gwen's going to be at our first really strong point when he is able to pick up the Riftmaker. Of course, that was buffed, you know, coming into 11.11. Actually, I think it was buffed 11.10, but they made it easier to stack. You now get stacks when you take damage as well, not only when you deal damage. And they also changed it to where it's 3% stacking up to 3 times instead of 2% stacking up to 5
times.
I think that's what it was before, yeah.
Yep.
So, again, you lose 1%, but you stack it up quicker, and it's easier to stack. So I think that feels a lot better than the old Riftmaker did, to where it felt really hard to feel any value of it in the early game.
It felt like another Conqueror, right, where it just took so long to stack up, and getting max stacks wasn't really always there within
There was just no immediate... There just felt like no immediate value, right? That's why even on champions that did build it before, you would typically see other items come out before Riftmaker would.
That's right. Now it looks real good. I mean, that's saying something. It looks really, really good on champions, especially like Gwen. But coming back to this game quickly, just note that FPX got the next dragon. You saw it on your screen. 2k gold lead here in the meantime. Doinb is actually going to be fighting Forge here. He has the Heartbreaker, which Forge has stolen away. Still hasn't used that ulti, but going back in with the Maul. While meanwhile, FPX is going to fight here. Jung Wooji comes in with a Killer Instinct, but Lwx blows up Ice Coke, turns his attention to Jung Wooji, and Chris now with the trample, ready to go back in. The headbutt pulverize onto Beichuan, while 8917 solo killed Nuguri, and that's revenge for game 1.
Yeah, sad we didn't get to see it again. This isn't a matchup we really know too much about. Gwen and Champion being banned consistently. This not a pick we've seen in LCS. Lwx!
He's flashed for that as well. He's going to find Jung Wooji with one more auto, but the Blast Cone saves his life. And that was just Tristana play. I mean, that's great for 8917 coming back to that, because I feel like highlighting after what was a devastating game 1, that would feel so good.
That's the thing, right? We need to keep harping on it, that first time in LPL, just moving up to Rogue Warriors from the sub team. Looks like he's probably going to go down. Doesn't have Flash available, but Forge probably going to be able to save him.
Yeah, teleport in, does the job, as Spectral Maw didn't actually connect in the play either. And as he comes up, 8917 will find a nice time to back, and Forge will just hold the top weight.
Yep, we are seeing a bit of volatility now with Chris making his way up. Forge does have Flash, so I'm not sure if they will be able to pull this off. Doesn't have ult on cooldown, though, so wouldn't really be able to take anything if they did decide to go for the dive. But we do see FPX realize, hey, we can't go for this. Other members of RW already moving up as well, and they're going to back off the play.
I want to note that in the inventory of Doinb, if we do see this one-on-one or even you know, anything evolve in this top side, that Execution is calling against the Sylas really good. Oblivion Orb against the Viego would also be great, as we'll watch this one-on-one because it was just Nuguri versus 8917.
Yeah, goes in for the other charge of the ultimate as well. We see Nuguri's ult finally coming out in this exchange. Conqueror already stacked up for 8917 and just able to take it.
Rocket Jump comes in though, we're not too done. Beichuan got pretty low after we were in that replay, and Doinb did as well. So not sure what happened there, but we went from a replay probably into another replay. He did.
Oh yeah, Beichuan and Doinb, Ice Coke all using ultimates while we were in that replay. So a fight did happen to break out. And yeah, now we're just going to kind of default back to farming. Rogue Warriors, I don't think, should be able to find anything onto Lwx here. Does look like we're going to start up the Rift Herald on the side of FPX, and I'm not quite sure if Rogue Warriors can contest. 8917 does have ultimate, but they don't really have a way to get close enough to FPX to look for the fight. And even nice respect from RW coming out, realizing, hey, we don't know where the members of FPX are. They were going to walk into a potential death trap coming out from Crisp.
8917, able to pick up first item, I believe. Yeah, got Divine Sunder after that trade. While we were having a chat there, I also noticed that Tien picked up the Rift Herald absolutely free without the smite in the end. It was a good block from the Void Seeker as Crisp is going in for this one. Forge steals the ulti, but FPX are definitely here with the damage versus Doinb ready to go over the wall, which he can't do with the Spectral Maul. Doinb still waiting here in the harrowed path to poke his way out, but Rogue Warrior is playing it super cautiously, and that's what we've had a lot of this game, right? We've had a lot of this trepidatious stepping from both of these teams. 15 minutes in, it's only 3 kills. And while that may not be English, I can tell you one thing, that both teams are kind of just waiting to where they position.
Yeah, and right now, RW paying the respect to FPX, 5-man topside. We see Zhong Wuji was catching waves in mid. Equalizer goes a bit wide, not able to come out. Dragon coming up in 50 seconds, though. FPX did already get some resets off. We see Tien getting back on the map, so they should be able to get some control over bot side and secure that one for themselves. That will be soul point for the side of Rogue Warriors. And we're even starting to hit item breakpoints, right? Riftmaker on Nuguri already. Iceborne Gauntlet coming out for Tien. I assume Doinb should be pretty close to Blade of the Rune King, which obviously going to be extremely strong when he is going up against Forge in a side lane.
Also want to note that with Nuguri as well, when he gets this wave, I assume he's sitting on a little bit of gold, had the Riftmaker for a bit, but we've seen the Nash's Tooth come second here for the Gwen, been a really powerful item for the dueling. Also note that when this first item comes for Doinb, might be towards this, third dragon, fourth dragon after Doinb backs here, but FPX in a very commanding position. It's a 3k gold lead, 3 and a bit, and even now, sitting down the bottom lane, ult has been used. The needlework flies through 8917. Second Herald going to be dropped here, Lyric. And this is a big push. And although FPX are going past their game 1 time now, still very much in control. That gold lead has just plummeted, or rather scraped up to 4k.
And they're just going to turn into a free dragon. And again, even if nothing happens in the next few minutes, they're going to be able to force that soul fight. We do see that they kept Forge in the top lane, so wanting to get some more gold and EXP onto him, but there's the Blade of the Rune King that we were talking about. Another fun fact about Viego, to just people who are really not familiar with him, kind of obvious you would max Q first. Second ability you max is actually your E, which is the Mist, because of the bonus attack speed and MS in it. Also, your cooldown reduces with leveling it up compared to your W. You just get damage, and it is just a static cooldown on that dash and stun.
Lyric, I'm slightly optimistic about this game. Don't ask why, but just the fact that Rogue Warriors are held on this long, that the game has been a little bit more reserved, makes me think that there was some severe learnings in the first game. I think also we've got a point where, items are being matched to a degree, apart from the bottom lane, which is 50 CS behind. That top side, the solo kill, the Divine Sunder is equalized with the Riftmaker, so do you think it's fair to be positive this time around, even with the gold lead? It does feel like Rogue Warriors have learned something.
You know what I want to see at this point, Hysterics? I want to see what happens if 8917 and Nuguri go at it full force again. Nuguri right now doesn't have his Ignite up compared to 8917, but you have Riftmaker, so again, you have a ton of sustain and damage coming out from Gwen. You obviously have the sustain coming out from your passive as well. You gain armor and magic resist inside of your W. And then we know, again, 8917 was able to take it last time. You do have some armor shred coming out in your kit as well, but you have like this zombie sustain champion in Gwen against just this full all-in Wukong. Both at one item. Divine Sunder, of course, really strong right now as well. Just give it to me, Hysterics.
Okay, if you ask for it. Absolutely. What's happening?
Right now, we are going for resets. Dragon up in 3 minutes. RW trying to find an advantage in the only place they feel comfortable, which is around this Wukong. But Nuguri's going to pay respect. He's going to back off. He knows that his wave is pushed far forward. And at the same time, they have no vision of the members of RW to where, guess what? He knows his jungler and mid laner are topside. And if his jungler and mid laner don't see your top laner and jungler, they're probably not topside.
True. You learn from that lack of information, right? I feel like we're just going to be back and forth a little bit here until the dragon comes up. But FPX commit Doinb's flash. Beichuan's here. Doinb's going to follow up a little bit. Still has the Heartbreaker. He's teleported in. Still has the flash available. Has just ultied out of there as Rogue Warriors are committing onto Chris, who absorbs the damage, but they don't get the kill. Forward goes 8917 again with the Cyclone, but Beichuan is down over the wall. Rogue Warriors are very deep here. Needlework number 2 and 3. That layers through. The slow comes in, and over the wall with the Ice Coke TN will follow. Down go Rogue Warriors, and boy, was it potential for a fight that FPX just said no to.
And now all members of Rogue Warriors are down. FPX don't want to turn this into an inhibitor. They didn't even have a wave immediately available. They are going to turn this one into a Baron. Tien's not up, so they don't have Smite, but still, death timers are long enough where they should be completely fine. TPs will be up if RW does respawn in time. We're going to see how this starts. We do see the mist coming out for Doinb, looking for the engage onto Beichuan. And yeah, it looked, again, hopeful for RW at first, like potentially maybe they've caught Doinb overextended, like Chris was coming out. But once Lwx, Tien, and Nuguri are able to join in the fight, they just have too much damage available. Doinb even able to re-enter on the backside. Stun comes out from Tien, Nuguri here the whole time as well. And Lwx is just so far ahead of Zhongwuji at this point. It's just, it's rough.
It is rough. I love the 1v1 underneath the turret in the end. Tien knows he's going to die, but wins it anyway, of course. And let's just have another quick check of the gold. In the replay, Baron was taken. FPX now with 1 dragon that's coming up to make the Infernal Soul in about a minute. But more importantly, the gold's almost 10,000. Probably 9 is realistic at this point if I could do math properly. But FPX have full control of the map. And for Rogue Warriors, walking into this vision is just so dangerous. Especially when you have Viego, you have Gwen. There's a lot of gap close, and there's a lot of chain CC that Rogue Warriors will get bursted by. As they're going to do exactly that. It's Beichuan first, but that's a 3-man pulverize. Equalizes only onto Christo as Tien is running past it. 8917 with the Cyclone. He fakes it out for a little bit, but Lwx doesn't buy it. Doinb takes down Forge. And that was over in the blink of an eye. FPX now, it's time to run through mid.
Like you said, Chris coming in clutch with the 3-man pulverize. Forge also trying to find a pick on the AD carry. Goes a bit too far where his team isn't able to follow up. And overall, really solid win for FPX. Again, it's what you would want to see out of a team that you expect to be contending for the championship this split.
A clean series. 17 minutes in game number 1. 22 in game number 2, Lyric. I said on Twitter, this series will not go over 45 minutes. And I was right. Give about 8 minutes.
Oh, again, just overall dominant performance coming out from FPX. Hit on Rogue Warriors real fast. New players coming in. We saw some potential in this game, right? 8917 finding the solo kill onto Nuguri. Also potentially leads to interesting questions about the Wukong into the Gwen, and maybe a matchup that, you know, we should put more time into researching. Maybe something we'll see a lot more of. And overall for RW, it's like, hey, again, the pieces aren't necessarily there yet. With time, they can be. The teamwork, like, RW is like a lot of boxes they need to check and start working on it. I feel like in a few weeks we can kind of come back and be like, hey, where are Rogue Warriors at right now? For FPX, the question is going to be the next test. But the thing about that is FPX's next opponent is actually up. So again, relatively young team with some untested players. So, you know, I think we're still waiting a few weeks before we get to see an FPX against a prime matchup and be like, hey, FPX, where actually is your level right now relative to kind of what we would expect from other LPL teams?
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be a couple of weeks where FPX will be able to warm into the split, will continue to warm in the split, I should say. Both our world champions today, Lyric, picked up a win, by the way, as well. So it's been a very big day for both FPX and IGs. Doinb's just, you know, he's much like Rookie. They're both very happy people, and it's good to see the attitude from them coming onto stage, especially with Nuguri, who in game 1 was a monster. Game 2 got battered down a couple of times, but was still a very big Gwen and showed off alongside Doinb's Viego.
And again, it's just fun to see these champions maybe not push to their absolute limits, but we saw the strength in early laning. We highlighted the extended range of Viego many times because, again, I just kind of find it a bit amazing that a melee champion at 225, it happens, but it's fun to watch. 5-second Q cooldown. We've seen the power of his ultimate in other regions. We didn't really get to see it here too much, right? He wasn't really involved in a lot of these fights starting off, but still, Viego champion, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of and see a lot of these other strengths highlighted. Gwen, we saw that level 1 with E to where he was able to get lane prio, but we never really got to view too much of top lane after that, so both champions, I think, are very interesting, and yeah, we're going to see a lot more of them going forward.
So we did get our Gwen and Viego, though, didn't we? You know, that's that's just what I was after asking for. Obviously, it's been a weird night. We had a very back and forth series in IG Sooning. We just had a massive stomp with FPX and Rogue Warriors in both games. But I think overall for tonight, you know, we got our Gwen, we got our Viego a couple of times as well. And the LPL meta in 11.11, I don't know what to expect. You know, there's the Ezreal priority. We've got the Gwen Viego we just talked about.
Wait,
we
first pick Jinx today.
First pick Jinx we saw as well. We saw the first pick Renekton. Like, LPL is a fun region because its bubble is so unpredictable.
Yeah, and again, it's going to take some time. I do expect that we'll align more with what potentially we've seen from the LCS so far. Of like, again, we saw the strength of Udyr today is still there. This is a champion that does do so much. But, you know, another player we got to talk about is the guy who was playing Tristana. Once again, another strong pick in this meta that we didn't really see today. Lwx picking up the MVP.
Yeah, it was well deserved. I mean, Lwx had a really good laning phase. He did on the game number 1 as well as any context needed, I think, for this one. Lwx, or outside the FPX space, there is a cat that I don't know if it's wild or not. I don't know how they know the cat. I know that Lwx feeds this cat, and it's very cute. Hence him having it in his world skin and also in his pictures. So cute stuff here from Lwx, but not cute was the damage that was done from this Tristana towards the end of this game.
This was the fight, too, that Rogue Warriors looked like maybe they could have caught out Doinb, maybe they could have killed Chris, but by the time Lwx came in, you look at kiting in that, able to help take down 8917. Flashes in, he does have more items than Zhongwuji at this point, gets off the E and just able to clean up. And even here, just playing such aggressive angles, has confidence that his team is going to be able to play it around him. Rogue Warriors gets cut off, and this man just cleans it up.
Yeah, it was... I mean, we turned the camera right, the observer came back, and the fight's already over because Lwx is Goomba stomping all these kind of people. Tristana went ahead, crazy stuff, right? And we're now at a point where, all right, we've started day 1 with pretty standard expectations. I think IG Sooning, you could say that a lot of people thought Sooning were going to kick us off, but it's a good way to start into the LPL, especially when 11.11, there's such a wide champion pool through mid, through, you know, you could even argue jungle as well. Interested to hear the thoughts coming out of TN, more on the jungle pool, hopefully coming through from Wen.